Hello, folks. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My name is Asif Rahmani, and with me is Carrie Bennett.
Hi, everybody. Good
Usually
morning,
late.
good afternoon.
Yeah, and we were hoping, and I'll ask this question more formally later also, that we're able to capture a lot of time zones. So even if you're later in the day in your location, or maybe even the evening in Europe, um, hopefully this time works for you. I am curious. Before we start, I ask this question most of the time. I'm looking over there because I have my second screen over there, by the way. That where are you from? If you don't mind us asking, where are you joining from? There's a questions and answer panel. If you can let us know in there, that would be super helpful to know where we have people coming in from. All right, got Christy from St. Louis, Dawn from Florida, Adam joining from Sweden, Christopher from Minnesota, Larry, Illinois. That's where I am also, by the way. I'm in Chicago. Larry's in Buffalo Grove. I'm in Naperville area. And then you got Oliver from Halifax. Wow. Larry from St. Louis, Linda, UK, Shoaib from London. Hey, Shoaib, good to see you. Hugo, England, York from Germany, Michael, Houston. Wow, there's so many. I won't be able to call out everybody's name. I apologize, but so many people from joining from so many different places. I think Sweden probably is the furthest. I'm thinking. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, from time zone, because I think they're an hour later than London. So, for those of you just coming in, we're asking everyone to send us a little chat in the Q&A section and let us know where you're from so we can say hello and see how many different time zones we're covering this morning or this evening.
Yeah. I do see, let me see, I missed the name. Here we go. Jorg from Germany. Thank you, Jorg, from joining from Germany. So a lot of you are giving your time being here, and I want to make sure that we make the best use of your time. So I'm going to get started. Yes, there will be some people who are going to come in late. There will be a recording of this, so hopefully everybody will get the recording. Sorry about some of the mess in the back, by the way. Carrie and I were just talking before, and I couldn't cover everything up, so apologies. But I don't think you care about that. You care about what I'm here to share. So let's do this. First, I'm going to start sharing my screen. All right. Would love it if you guys, I think in GoToWebinar, there's the raise hand thing or something to let me know if you can see the screen okay, you can hear me okay. So just raise your hand if you can. Appreciate it, Serena. Thank you, Stephanie, Shoaib, appreciate it. All right. Let me go ahead and get started then. I'm gonna
And
go ahead
I'll
and,
go ahead and
yeah, go
turn my,
ahead.
yeah.
I was gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna turn my webcam off. We'll come back on later also to engage with you guys. But right now I think it'll be easier if we turn the webcam off. So here we go. We just wanted to say hi on our webcam first. This first slide right here is showing a URL where I put all of my slide decks, not just this one, but all of them. And I do many different presentations on change management, organizational change management, uh, governance, adoption, communication of policies, Office 365 training, or Microsoft 365 now, Viva Connections, and so much more. So if you do grab this link or just take a picture, from this QR code, you'll get to this link. You'll get access to all my presentations. Let me know if you have any feedback also, if you think something is missing. Would love to hear your constructive feedback as well as if it helped you. Yeah. Alrighty. I will bring this URL up again in case you miss it, but let me move on right now so I'm on time since there's a lot to cover today. This presentation is all about Microsoft Viva Learning. And it says preview because it is in preview right now. So Viva Learning has not gone general availability. You cannot install it in production. Well, you can install it in production, but it's not going to be production ready currently. All right. So the main crux of this presentation is to let you know what it is not, have you ask your questions. We will have time for your questions as well at the end. And then also answer all the questions that I've been hearing so far about Microsoft Viva Learning. Microsoft has been talking about learning in the flow of work using Viva Learning. What does that mean exactly? We have been, as a company, VisualSP, been talking about learning in the flow of work for a very, very long time. So it's great to see Microsoft also talking about this thing and bringing it within Teams. I'll show you exactly what it looks like, and once again, what it is and what it is not as well. And then also show you other ways that you can take the learning and the flow of work and take it even outside of Teams. Okay. Your questions would be very helpful, so please go ahead and put your questions in a Q&A. I will look at it from time to time, but more or less what I'm going to do is at the end, I'll take all the questions and we'll go from there. So there's a couple of different resources also that you'll find when you download this deck. There's a blog that's out there on Viva Learning. Everything that I'm learning, I'm putting it out there on the blog. And there's also a bunch of videos which will show some of the things that I'll be showing today about what Viva Learning is. You know, all the different interfaces, exactly what the gotchas are, the tips and tricks and everything else. So take a look at that. Agenda today officially is once again talking about what is and what it's not. We're talking about Viva Learning, obviously, right? Exactly what should you expect to get when you get a preview of this application, which is in preview right now, or when it comes to production, what it's going to look like. I do have lots of answers. I have been in touch with the Microsoft team, the program managers, product managers also at Microsoft, talking about this thing, asking the questions on your behalf as to what it is, what we should be looking forward to. So I'll talk to you about that. What can it do for your organization? Very important question to ask, in my opinion, as to what's in it for you, right? Does it affect you or not, in a positive way or negative way? You know, you need to understand that, obviously. How do you get access to Viva Learning? I do have some good and some bad news, unfortunately, in that front, but I'll let you know exactly what it is currently. How do you provide learning in the flow of work throughout your organization? As I mentioned a couple of slides ago, that I am personally very, very motivated, and our company is also to provide learning in the flow of work everywhere, not just in Teams, but everywhere. And I'll show you a few things, a few interfaces of exactly how that can happen. At the end, we'll stick around to answer all remaining questions as well. This webinar itself is only 45 minutes, but we will be here, Carrie and I both will be here for the full hour. So if you want to stick around afterwards and ask your specific questions, we would be welcome to take those questions and answer to the best of our ability. This is a quick snapshot of what my professional life has looked like so far. Once again, my name is Asif Rahmani, and I'm the founder and CEO of VisualSP. I live in the Chicago, USA area. Those of you who are joining us from Europe, Chicago and Illinois is right there in the middle of the United States. So I love traveling all over the place and doing conferences, as it shows over here. I've done many, many conferences, been a Microsoft MVP since 2007, so 14 years ongoing right now. I've had the pleasure to write a few books along the way as well. And here's my contact information at the bottom if you want to get in touch with me. Feel free. Okay, Microsoft Viva. You know, Viva itself is bigger than just Viva Learning, which is what we're talking about here. Viva is a brand. It's an experience platform, as it says over here, that Microsoft is pushing out. And they're doing it with these four apps specifically currently: Viva Connections, Viva Insights, Viva Topics, and Viva Learning. And obviously, we're here to talk about Viva Learning. But let me just spend half a minute, maybe a minute, talking about the others. Connections is more about communicating information, news, knowledge, anything that you want to. So you're bringing your SharePoint interfaces directly within Teams. That's what Connections is about. Insights is all about workplace analytics. So it's individual analytics, Teams analytics, and things like that, all coming directly within Microsoft Teams. The topics area, driven completely by artificial intelligence and machine language, giving you information, intelligent information directly within Teams when you are hovering over a topic or when you're looking for some information. You know, anywhere the information is, it basically comes to you. Love that. It is kind of expensive, unfortunately, but love the concept of it. And then, of course, we're talking about Viva Learning, which is skilling and growth. So let me dive into that. First of all, what exactly is Viva Learning? I've had many people ask me this, other MVPs. Vendors, we're a vendor also at VisualSP, and other vendors have asked, exactly what is it? Is it going to compete with LMSs? Is it going to be just like Microsoft Learning Pathways? Is it going to be something else? What is it? Well, this is a quick animated image that you might not be able to catch all the interfaces here, but don't worry, I'll show you this and a whole lot more that you're seeing here. At the end of the day, Viva Learning is bringing all the learning from your organization from all different places in one location, right? It is a destination learning place. Please remember that it is a learning destination. So it's an app, as it shows over here, that comes directly within Microsoft Teams where your people are. And it gives them kind of like an aggregated experience of everything that they care about and maybe their managers care about for them to see everything in one place. Okay. And when I say everything, I'm talking about, of course, all the learning specifically. All the learning is combined in one place. So you go there and you get the learning that you want. There are a couple of other interfaces also that I'll show you, but this is primarily it. One more thing I want to point out here is that the learning that comes in is not just going to be courses. It could be courses, it could be PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, Excel sheets, any kind of artifact that you want to push to your people. You could do that and it would appear within learning. Very important to also understand what Viva Learning is not, all right? It is not a full-featured learning management system. I've had so many people ask me this already. Is it an LMS? Do we need an LMS? We're thinking about going with an LMS. Should we continue? We already have an LMS. Well, does that mean do we get rid of it? What do we do? Well, Viva Learning is not a full-featured LMS. In my opinion, well, it's actually fact, LMSs have a lot deeper functionality set, such as it provides user experiences which are very personalized, or having offline capability of learning, analytics of exactly what people have done, what they've not done, the tests and quizzes they've taken, and so much more. That's not what Viva Learning is. It does have integration with LMSs, and I'll talk more about that, but that's not what Viva Learning is. It's also not a context-sensitive learning system. I know a thing or two about context-sensitive learning system because VisualSP, our company, is a context-sensitive learning system, and I'll show you exactly how VisualSP also works with Viva Learning at the end of this presentation. But that's not what Viva Learning is. Viva Learning, as great as it is, and it provides learning in the flow of work, but it provides it only within Microsoft Teams to begin with. There will be some other stuff later also, but right now it's just Microsoft Teams, okay? So it's learning destination, you come to Teams, and then you are basically learning within Teams. I've made this presentation in such a way where most of the stuff that I'll be doing is going to be actually in the environment, and it won't be just me talking and stuff like that. So let me actually get there, and I'm going to go to the beginning. All right, Viva Learning. Here we go. Hopefully you can still see my environment here. This is Viva Learning working within Microsoft Teams, all right? It is the desktop version of Teams that I'm running over here. When I first came to Viva Learning, which is right here, it told me it's Viva Learning Preview, and it's just got one tab. That's the Home tab right there, yeah? And it's got the walkthrough that came up over here as well, saying, hey, get to know Viva Learning. If you click on Show Me Around, it shows you that this is the Home tab. You can browse courses, personalized contents recommended to you, etc. You can search using this over here, this search bar. There's a Show Me Around in here that you can click to get back to this walkthrough. And then it's just saying you can right click on the Viva Learning app to make it visible at all times. Got it. There's a bug in the system, by the way, which I'll tell you about, where this walkthrough keeps on coming, unfortunately. As helpful as this walkthrough is, unfortunately, Microsoft has put a bug in there, which I'll be talking about with them since I just saw it this morning. Anyway, so every time I come back to this homepage, that walkthrough will start up again. Yeah. All right. First thing to note over here is we have rows of information. It says LinkedIn Learning right here. Then you got Microsoft Learn, Microsoft 365 Training, and there's some other content partners here as well. Pluralsight, Coursera, Skillsoft, and edX. Okay, all of them are set up already. There's a setup in Office 365 administration, which I probably won't be going into the setup because if you don't have the preview, you can't do any of that stuff anyway. I do have some slides that show it, but the setup itself is very, very simple on the back. You just click on the different content sources and they just show up here. All right. Now let's dig deeper in here. What is all of this stuff that I'm looking at as an employee? Well, first, when I come in here, as I mentioned before, it is a learning destination. So you see the information, the courses, and anything else that have been made available to you. Your learning managers, knowledge managers, and organization are the ones who are selecting sources to make this available. First, let's talk about some of these components over here. You got the content source, obviously. Then you have the thumbnail. You have the title right here of the actual course in this case. Right below that, you have the author. Author may or may not be present. As you can see, there's no author in here. Then you have the type of information it is. Okay, so it says course over there. It doesn't have to be a course. Some over here, for example, says module. And the others you're going to see is going to say video or a book even, or just a Excel sheet or Word document. So once again, each of these tiles represent a learning artifact, which doesn't have to be a course. It could be just an individual component as well. The length is shown here, and how many times have I viewed it. So as you can see, for that specific one, I've clicked on it 3 times. A couple of other things here as well. I can bookmark it by using this bookmark. And the ellipsis right here just lets me copy a link to that course. Okay, so more or less, that's basically it for the interface that I see. Let me click on this ellipsis over here. If I click on see details, that's going to be the exact same thing as just clicking on it. So I won't click on that. But the copy link, like I said over here, copy to clipboard, this is a pretty cool feature because when I copy a link to a course, and I'll show you how it works in action in a few minutes, but when I copy a link to a course and send it to someone, they click on that link, they get to that course within Teams, which I think is a pretty cool integrated functionality that they have with LinkedIn Learning specifically. Others work a little bit different, but with LinkedIn Learning, and I believe with Microsoft Learn also, it's pretty good. It goes directly to the course within Teams. Yeah, let's go ahead and click on one of these. Okay, so building relationships while working from home. Okay, once again, it's showing me where it's from, LinkedIn, author, course, and then you got information over here, read more on course details. One thing that I really like about some of the content sources, not all of them work this way, but some of the content sources like LinkedIn Learning is when I click on this, it shows the player directly in the environment right here within Teams, which is a very nice integrated experience. And Microsoft actually showed this experience a lot when they were talking about Viva Learning, and I was very, very impressed, obviously, as I'm sure many of you were as well. But please keep in mind that it doesn't work like this for all the different learning. So the integrated learning experience like this one does work for a bunch of stuff, but not everything. Many other things that you click on, it will send you to the browser. And in the browser is where you'll be able to watch the rest of the information. It won't be in Teams. But in here, for LinkedIn Learning, it's the exact same experience that I would get in the browser. I got all these table of contents over here. Click on it and you get the video and you get all the different tools right available here too. Yeah, full screen. So everything is here. Great. And here's where you can bookmark it. So I can bookmark it here, or I can bookmark it right here as well. And I'll show you exactly what happens when you bookmark a course like that. Okay. Continue on. Here's a link that appears in all the different learning artifacts that comes up, saying that you can open it up in either within Teams, just making it a nice big full screen view, or sometimes it's going to say open in and then the content source name. So let me click on that. Here you go. It opened it up in my browser. Yeah, I signed in as me already. I'm already signed in as Asif Rahmani in my LinkedIn, and it opened it up just like that. So simple enough. And then at the bottom right here, things you may like. Of course, the question becomes, how does it know what I might like? Well, these are actual signals that are coming in from Microsoft 365 to Viva Learning. And it's showing, in this case, the specific courses or the specific modules or books or whatever it is that might pertain to me based on who I am, based on my department, based on my geography, my role, my title. All those things are taken into effect, and even my behavior. So if I've done certain things within Microsoft 365, that I don't know exactly how Microsoft is doing that, but that's what I've heard, that because of my behavior and because of what I've done, there is an algorithm that runs in the back that shows me specific type of content. Okay, so that's actually one of the big benefits of Viva Learning, where because Microsoft owns Microsoft 365 experiences for everybody around the world, they have all these signals coming in on a regular basis. And based on those signals, they're pushing the content that's relevant to these people directly in here. All right, here's the copy link feature again. And this time I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So let's say if I want to send someone a copy of this, or not copy, I'm sorry, I want to send someone to this course, right? So I clicked on the copy to clipboard. And I do have Outlook running here, so I'm actually going to go and say new email. Yeah, there we go. So I'm not going to fill out the whole email, obviously, but I'll just put the link over here. Here's the actual link, teams.microsoft.com, and it has the entity, the actual content. So what happens is if I send this to someone, they click on this, it goes into Teams. It goes into Teams and opens up the exact interface that I was showing you before, which I think is pretty cool. It doesn't happen for every single learning module, please remember that, but it does happen for a lot of them, which I think is a very nice integrated experience. Alrighty, let's go back to Viva Learning over here. Stuck. Okay, let me go out and go back over here. Yeah, this is like I was saying before, those of you who caught that the walkthrough, unfortunately, I think Microsoft, the way they have it right now, is just it's appearing on every single load, which I gotta tell them about, see what's going on. Now, you noticed a couple of different rows just popped up. First one, trending in VisualSP. VisualSP, of course, is our company. So this happened automatically. I did not create this row. The trending stuff automatically Microsoft pushes depending on what people are clicking on, what they're bookmarking, and what's more popular. And the second one is the bookmarked item that I did. So I bookmarked it and it appeared right here. Every single thing that you have within Viva Learning is going to be in rows like this, by the way. All this stuff is in rows like that. Okay. I'll show you a few other things over here. So for example, if I go to Microsoft 365 training and click on Outlook Quick Start, here's the Outlook Quick Start. It's a module. So when I click on the play here, here's the different experience that I was talking about. Yeah. In this case, the experience is very much like the Microsoft Learning Pathways, those of you who are familiar with that, where it gives me the video, it gives me the content below that. And that's how the module looks like here. Alrighty, once again, I can bookmark the stuff here as well, which I won't do right now. Let me click on a few more things, and then we'll move forward with other stuff. Go down here. Pluralsight, let's do that. So let's go to that. C# interfaces. Let me click on that. If I hover over this, as you can see that it gives me the globe icon, which means that I can open this up, but in the browser. Okay, globe icon here, globe icon right there as well. It will not open up directly here as an integrated component. So if I click this, I'm not signed in currently to Pluralsight, so it's just gonna say, yeah, sign in and all. Okay. But that's the case for many of these learning modules that appear. They send you to the location on the web, not just here. And that's, I think, going to be the case unless these providers integrate themselves within Viva Learning. It's going to be the case when it eventually rolls out in general availability as well. Alrighty, going back over here. Let me look at show the search over here. Let me do a search for OneDrive Quick Start. I know there is a Microsoft 365 module, yeah, on OneDrive Quick Start. So if I wanted to learn that, it found it for me. It is searching all the different content sources, by the way. Click over here, and there it is. Play, and here you go. Same experience as before. If there's embedded content, that would show up here as well. Yeah, hopefully this all makes sense so far. Now, let me do something else, something that I did not like personally. I don't know how you guys would feel about that, but if I'm looking for something and I find it, like employee onboarding information. Okay, so there's some human resources, running company onboarding, and I'm happy. All right, I found this course exactly what I was looking for. I click on play. It didn't tell me before clicking on it that I might not have access to it. It just showed the thumbnail just like it did before for anything else, but it's not accessible. I got to this point, and this is quite some time back when I first started doing this thing. I clicked on sign in thinking, well, I have access to LinkedIn Learning, so no problem. And then I put my email address, which I mentioned before is asif@visualsp.com, right? Click on continue. Now, notice what it says. You don't have access to LinkedIn Learning through your organization. It's not telling me that I individually don't have access to it, but it's saying that I don't have access to it through my organization, right? What that means is that if I close this over here and I click on Open in LinkedIn Learning link, guess what? It does open it up. It does play it right here. Because I, as an individual, as you can see, I'm signed into my LinkedIn account and I do have access to LinkedIn Learning. So I see the same content that I could not see through Teams, through Viva Learning in this case, which personally, I didn't find that to be a great experience. And I have given some of that feedback back and I'll continue to do that as well. Because, you know, if I have access, I have access. If I don't have access, I don't have access. It should be looking maybe at both of those things, not just my access through my organization, but that's currently the case here. By the way, if you have questions, thoughts, comments, feedback, as I mentioned before, put it into the Q&A. I'll come back to all of them. I just want to make sure that I'm able to answer all the questions that I have accumulated first, and then I'll come back to everything there as well. I'm sure you have thoughts and questions on some of the stuff I'm showing here. All right. Sorry. Let's see. I also wanted to show you that, as I mentioned before, there's different types of modules or different types of these tiles over here. So this one, for example, video. This one, course over here. I know I saw some which were just books as well. So you have the book. Once again, when you're clicking on these things, let's see if I click on maybe a Coursera one. And then I click on open in browser. Yeah, so then it tells me exactly what it is. And if there's a cost to it as well, in this case, okay? It would tell me all that stuff right there. But it is an aggregation of all the stuff that my organization has access to, and it's providing it within Viva Learning. That does not necessarily mean that I have access to everything. It's just access to at least the interfaces of it, but maybe not the actual access to the course or to the book or to the video, whatever. So please keep that in mind. That's a bit unfortunate the way it is, because I can't tell what I have access to, what I don't have access to. All right, a couple more things over here then, because I am going a little bit long over here. If I go into, one second, need to move this here because this is my production environment, and come to a place where I can show you my screen. Here we go. So this is a place, yeah, right here in our production environment. And I have Viva Learning set up here as a tab within a channel. You could do that as well. You click on the plus sign, you choose Viva Learning right here. You choose, after clicking on the Viva Learning, exactly what you want to show in the Viva Learning tab. as it says, you can add new courses, just like that here, and I've added these courses. Okay, if I want to add more courses, I click on Add New, and I can add more courses right here as well. So if I want to do SharePoint Advanced, working with power users, and you'll see that in just a second, this will pop up here too somewhere. Here it is, or Power Pivot. When you're provisioning new teams, you can definitely have a tab like this, and the tab, by the way, can be renamed as well, that you can provision along with a new team. So that's actually a very cool way of providing content to individual teams that pertain to them. One more thing over here that I want to show is within your posts and conversations, you can put link to courses here as well. So if I'm in a conversation, new conversation or existing one, I click on the Viva Learning icon. It doesn't say it, but that's what this one is. And I do a search here, maybe the same thing that I did before for OneDrive Quick Start. Takes a bit for it to search, comes back, click on this, and now here's the actual link to it that I can just send to someone in a thread. Yeah, when they do click on it, it appears though just like it would have appeared when I would have clicked on it, when I was in the actual Viva Learning tab. So if it's a web module, it will appear in the web. If it does have the capability to appear in Teams, it will appear in Teams. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully this helped. There's so much to talk about here. I need to go back and talk about some of the other things and questions that you have, but I'll come back and show you more stuff later. So talk about some of the stuff that's not available in preview, right? First of all, there's this assignment feature, which we were told about before, assigned to you. That is not available in Viva Learning Preview. In fact, there has been a decision made that the assignments, okay, so listen closely on this one, specifically the assignments can only happen through your LMS integration. You would need an LMS to make the assignments of content to people, and then those assignments would show up in Viva Learning. Assignments themselves cannot be made through Viva Learning. All right. Moving on forward, so you have the assigned to you that could appear as a row. There's a recommendation engine, which I will show in a slide deck because I do have that slides of exactly how you can do that. Recommendation anybody can do. Okay, once again, assignment you can only do through learning management systems. Recommendation, anybody can do directly through Viva Learning. Going forward, there's also recently viewed. Then there's a bookmarked row. I don't have any of this stuff running in my Viva Learning preview, by the way, because this is not preview functionality. But I just wanted to show you some of the slides from that. And if you do get the slide deck that I've told you about before in my link, you'll get all these slides, by the way. Then trending. So as you saw before, it said trending in VisualSP. This is just another fictional corporation, Van Arsdale. So it shows trending in Van Arsdale. Okay. And then information that you've pushed, content that you've pushed from your company could also be a row, just like that could appear. Obviously, many of you are going to have this question as to how do I push our own information through Viva Learning, our own content. I will speak to that. It is not included in Viva Learning Preview though, so it's not available, but I'll speak to that. And then anything that you've completed appears in a completed row. So everything that you saw here, everything has got a row. That's how everything is organized within Viva Learning. Yeah. Mobile story, not there yet. In preview, it's going to be available later when general availability happens, but this is what it's going to look like. You'll be able to view the actual courses directly within mobile, and you'll be able to share courses like the links to it, just like I showed you in a conversation or a chat. You could do that later as well. Okay. All right, assigning, like I mentioned before, cannot be done through Viva Learning, only done through LMS integration. That is actually a big change from what I was hearing before, because there was supposed to be an assignment functionality through Viva Learning, but that's not the case anymore. Can you recommend? As I mentioned, yes, you can recommend content to others. And recommendation is very much, saying, all right, well, I think you should take this course or look at this content. And here's exactly how this recommendation engine would work. You're looking at a course, right? Like this one, you say, hey, leading remote projects and virtual teams is something that I want to tell someone about. You click on this recommend link. The next screen that comes up says, all right, who do you want to recommend to? Individuals or teams? You pick the person or the team. In this case, is Van Arstel East Coast Engineers. Next thing after that, you put in a note, optional. You put in a due date. Now, due date is also something that's arbitrary, by the way. It's not something that's going to be where, they will get penalized or something if they don't do it by then. But it is a recommended due date. And then once you do that, this is going to show a screen like that where you can manage recommendations. If you click on manage recommendations, it will show you what's been recommended by you, who was it recommended to, what's the due date, when you created the recommendation in this case, or I think this created the course, or the course was created. And then there's also the check status where you can do by clicking on the ellipses to see exactly what has happened so far, which will show you anybody who has completed the course, in progress, or not even started. And you can bug them about that. But once again, it's recommendations. These are not assignments, all right? Moving on forward, external sources. Do want to talk to you about that as well. That default sources that are supported are LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Learn, and Microsoft 365 Training. These are default and enabled by out of the box. But there's additional courses or additional content sources like I showed, which is Coursera, edX, Pluralsight, Skillsoft, and SharePoint as well, which I'll talk about. These can be turned on afterwards. And then there's also LMS integrations for Cornerstone On Demand, Saba, SAP SuccessFactors. Uh, Obviously, you are wondering, what about my LMS? What about the LMS that we're using? Or if you're a LMS partner yourself, does it work with our LMS, right? Yes, it would, but there are APIs which are not yet available. So for LMS partners and others like yourself, those will be coming later in the fall. That's the story currently. Here's what it looks like on the back end. So the Viva Learning preview configuration is where you decide within Microsoft 365 administration what exact content sources you want to make available. Once you do that, and then right here is where you can define if you wanted to your own content from your own repositories to be made available. And then all these become rows within Viva Learning, as I was showing before, individual rows. Okay. All right. So that's the SharePoint. Now, let me dig into this right now. This functionality, which is ability to take your content and show it, is, as I mentioned, not available. However, here's how it would work eventually. You have Viva Learning with these different rows, right? You would point from Viva Learning to a SharePoint site. So it's going to be a SharePoint site that you'll point to from Viva Learning. What Viva Learning will do is it will make a list in that site. That list will have pointers. Sorry, this will get a little bit messy now. This is going to have pointers to other content that exists outside. So let's say you have video, you have documents, you have courses. Okay, so all these things can be pointed to from each of these line items from this list. So now this is, like I said, the SharePoint site right here. It's got that list. You pointing all these different things that you have out there, which have the videos and documents and courses. And because you're pointing to them, then in return, they automatically show up over here as your row of content coming from your site, from your company. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, please let me know in the question and answer session. Not available in Viva Learning Preview, but that's how it will be. Next question, can I customize my brand with Viva Learning app? Unfortunately, this stuff cannot be customized, the icon nor the learning part below it. How much will it cost? Big question. Exact pricing has not been shared. Mostly you're going to be paying for the integrations and the content that you're providing through that. It's in public preview currently. However, it's been shut off currently. April 26th is when they said it's on. April 27th is when they turned it off because there's just been a lot of people asking for it and they just could not keep up with demand. No indications as to when it's going to open up again, but it will is supposed to open up within a few weeks, or maybe even less. I will be keeping you in touch in my blog and other places, and let me know also if you want to email me if you have other questions about that. That is a bummer, unfortunately. Like I said, the good news is it's coming back, and the bad news is currently it's not available for most people. That's why many people don't have access to the, uh, you know, the preview. The main date that you should keep your eye on is in fall 2021 sometime, which is where it's going to be available in general availability. Yeah. All right. Now I've run a little bit late, but I do want to talk about the rest of the story as well, which is the reason, of course, I'm talking about this, our company is talking about Viva Learning, is we believe in this concept of flow, learning in the flow of work. We believe that the content should come to the learner instead of the learner having to look for and find the content. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about that, that how do you bring learning to the content, to the learner anywhere and everywhere they are, instead of just within Teams. Teams is great. Obviously, all of us are using Teams and Outlook, but what about other places like SharePoint, about OneDrive? What about your human resources application that you have? What about other places where people are going? So I want to talk to you about Viva Learning and VisualSP Better Together story as well, and how we partner with Microsoft to not just have Viva Learning provide employees development of skills, but also provide performance support to help them get their job done. Very important, in my opinion, to not just provide learning, but also true support anywhere they are to help them with, getting their job done. VisualSP is a recognized partner with Microsoft. You'll find us in the Partner Solution Gallery. And I do want to show you some interfaces. Then I'll come to back to your questions as well as to what we're doing over here. I would love some feedback also on that. So imagine you are this is you, Fred Jones, all right? And you're sitting here in a human resources portal. Well, when you're here and you know you have to take certain courses, how will you know those courses have been made available to you? Of course, Teams is available, but then still you have to go there and look for it. If you look at the bottom right here, we have our VisualSP system running right there where it says VisualSP system. If I click on this as a user, it gives me information that I have available right here. For example, courses like building relationships from home, organizing a remote office, the same kind of courses that are available within Teams is available right here to me. So I click on this, I can see the same course right here. Okay, I can maximize this and have it side by side as I'm doing some work. Uh, we really believe that this type of functionality where you're making this information available to the user where they are and wherever they are, not just within Teams, is very, very important. So that's one integration. Here's another course, building relationships from home, exact same way. But the story, once again, doesn't stop here. You have to think about even further. How do I tell them about the interfaces that they're looking at? How do I further help them in their learning process of our organizational systems like this one? So in this case, if I go to dashboard of the system, what happens? Well, the dashboard here shows me, in this case, here's a pulsating button, which is also produced using VisualSP, showing, you can get a site overview, so you know exactly what you're looking at. If I click on this, it shows me, all right, here's the attendance report section over here. Next, here's a leave management. This is a walkthrough that was also produced using VisualSP, the button and the walkthrough both. So giving them exact information they need to know where and when they are in terms of policies, communication, learning. In addition to this thing, what about interfaces where they're not used to this, right? Like notices. What are notices? I don't know what notices are. Well, we see these inline help icons everywhere on the web. Why not bring them in your intranet within your systems like this one? So when people click on this, they know immediately what this is. All of this that I'm showing over here, by the way, this tip card right here, or the walkthrough, or the buttons, are all made without code using the VisualSP system. And that, we believe, when you put VisualSP along with Viva Learning, gives you access to information anywhere and everywhere you are. And talking about the anywhere part, by the way, if I go, for example, to OneDrive, now if I click on the VisualSP system, which here says OneDrive help, I see all the OneDrive specific information, like OneDrive quick reference, okay, showing me exactly the interfaces. I can pop this out to see it side by side about OneDrive. Uploading files. This you might find very similar to what you just saw before in the OneDrive Quick Start that I was showing within Viva Learning. Is the exact same information, but now it's coming inside OneDrive here. So once again, the point here being that you see the information that truly helps you get your job done, truly helps you with where you are. Like the dark mode has been very popular, that came out not that long ago within OneDrive. How do I know how to enable it? If I click on this, a walkthrough starts up, showing me that you can click on the settings button and click on the dark mode toggle. There we go. All right, pretty popular functionality here. But how do I know all these things unless I have help available right here and I don't have to jump to Teams to find it? And that's just a very quick depiction of a Viva Learning plus VisualSP Better Together learning story, Better Together help story all together. So not just within Teams, but outside interfaces also. You have the exact same information and more that's provided along with VisualSP right here. Yeah, I'll show you one other quick things that the story continues. Obviously, like I said, in any interface, OneDrive, human resource management systems, Yammer, wherever you go as an employee, this is SharePoint. Here you have walkthroughs and other things available right here. All right. Since I am out of time officially, let me go ahead and take your questions first, and I can come back to show you some additional interfaces as well. Let's see here. I'm going to start from the top. Thanks very much, everybody, for sticking with me here. I know there's been a lot to talk about, a lot to show over here. How is the connection, Insights, and others are connected to Microsoft Teams and SharePoint? Well, that's the same as I mentioned before, that Insights, topics, and other things will also appear as apps, just like Viva Learning. Will Microsoft Viva Learning replace or complement Moodle or Google Classroom? Yeah, these things are exactly what Microsoft is thinking about right now, is how not to replace anything, but to augment the functionality that's already there right now. So good question, Andrew. I don't think it's going to replace it, in my opinion. All right, Shuhaib, you're asking, will it also work on the mobile version of Teams? Yeah, that's one of the things that I showed earlier, that yes, it will work on the mobile version, but it's not available yet. By the way, as I'm answering these questions, let me do one more thing here and put I forgot about that earlier, sorry, that put the contact information of Carrie Bennett, who is going to be, your contact going forward if you have any questions regarding partnering with VisualSP. And if you want more information about Viva Learning, let Carrie know about that also. This is her contact information. Carrie, how about we show our webcams if you're still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All righty. So here I am again, guys. Let's see. More questions. I'm looking at my other screen here for questions.
I'll also summarize all these questions and we'll either put it on a blog or I can distribute through email too. So I think it's always better to hear Asif explain it more thoroughly, but we'll try to at least push this information out as well.
There are lots of good questions out there, and there's no way we're gonna be able to get through all of them. So yeah, we'll try our best right now, and then we'll tackle the rest later. Can you filter the courses based on your role? Tammy, good question, but no. Right now, the way it is you get everything that's pushed to you that you see, but you cannot filter it. Things might change before it goes to production. My LinkedIn account is a personal account, Christopher is asking, but I sign into Teams with my work account. How can I customize the training for me if it shows me logged in as my work account? Yeah. So once again, your organization has to be the one that has to decide how to put the content together for all the employees. Currently, it will not let you use your personal account, to show that training from your personal account within Viva Learning. Yeah, how can I show the training is completed on my personal account? Unfortunately, currently, to my knowledge, you cannot do that, but that things might change later. Stephanie's asking, will learning content that is created internally also show up on Viva Learning? This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, Stephanie, that the content that you create, you put it into a SharePoint list, you point to a SharePoint list, that content then can be surfaced up directly in Viva Learning. It's not a simple process, unfortunately, but it is supposed to work. It's not available in Viva Learning Preview currently. Adam is asking, you can use SharePoint to host training content for Viva Learning? Yes, but is there any way to build courses like a LMS, or is it just basically a pane to view training or different sources plus some more? Very good question. Currently, it is different modules, Adam. So you could have a specific type of content be pointed to, a video, a book, a PowerPoint, Word document, a whole course. Currently, I don't know of a way that Microsoft is going to provide that. So those things most probably will be, if you have an LMS, you put the course in LMS, and then you make that LMS available through Viva Learning. But really good question. Let me go down here. Alan is asking, we have an app that is on Teams App Store. Would like to know what features will Viva API have? Yeah. So very good question, Alan. This is the kind of stuff that I was talking about before, where partners like yourself will have to contact and talk to Microsoft, your rep, as to what APIs will be made available. APIs will definitely be available, but which API specifically, they're not telling us just yet. You will have the functionality to tap into it with your app, but currently it's in the air as to exactly what you can surface. Okay. Shuhaib, you're asking, will the SharePoint content be security trimmed in Viva Learning? To my knowledge, currently, I've not seen any security trimming in here yet. There is targeting, like I said before, to specific people, specific groups of people, but not security trimming that I've seen. Vera is asking, I saw you had an Office 365 hub pin. Is that working on preview? So Office 365 hub. Could you explain that a little bit again, Vera? I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. Larry is asking, can you tie it to a learning management system that has an app in Teams? I didn't see it in the list of options to hook it up. Yeah, so this not available yet, Larry, but a good question. Will be available later in the fall when it comes out in general availability. And anybody will be able to tap into it. There are some LMS partners which are already tapped into it, like you saw before, the SAP SuccessFactors, Cornerstone on Demand, Saba, but other LMS partners will still be able to tap into it themselves using the APIs. Jackie is asking, is there a cost associated with provisioning the Viva Learning module with just the default training connectors, like Learning Pathways and Microsoft Training? Yeah, that's a very good question, Jackie. My understanding is that the default content that I've been showing, some of the free stuff, you will not have a cost associated with. But then the other stuff that you want to provide yourself within your organization or some premium content, there will be a cost for that and some other connectors and all. But once again, talking to the team currently, there are some things that are up in the air, so I can't speak too much to it. At Microsoft Inspire, which is coming up, they'll be giving out some additional announcements around that. So that's coming up pretty soon. Yeah, Lisa Joe's asking a very good question. Learning Pathways versus Viva Learning. So Learning Pathways is a communication site which has all this content, right? And the same content you can make appear in different web parts and stuff as well. Viva Learning is more of a container that can show that content within the container, within Teams. And it can show other content as well. But so just think of Viva Learning as a shell that you can get information from, and Learning Pathways is actual the content base. Yeah. If you have also questions, guys, about how VisualSP is working with it, and if you have an interest in that, let me know here as well. Yeah, so Kim is saying, yeah, the assignment of the content. It is true, unfortunately, Kim, that you cannot make assignments through Viva Learning. That's just how it is, and that's how it's going to remain. That decision was made after Viva Learning was first introduced, which in the beginning they said that you could assign courses, but then they changed direction. Stephanie's asking, is there a specific date that when the Viva Learning will go into general availability, available in production? There is not. Currently it's just fall, but there have been some missed deadlines, so I would take it with a grain of salt as to what fall really means. We'll see exactly, but I can keep you posted. Feel free, by the way, folks. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Look for me, Asif Rahmani. Look for Kerry Bennett, obviously also, and connect with us on LinkedIn or send us an email, and we'll try to get you some updated information as it comes out as well. Yeah. Andrea, you asked the same thing about learning pathways and Viva Learning. Yes. Let's see. Vera, you were providing an explanation. Hub, I believe, is an upcoming addition to LinkedIn Learning. Just wondering if you knew how that could interact with Viva. Very good question, Vera. I do not, unfortunately. I don't know how the Hub would interact with Viva Learning. All right, let's see. Graham, hey Graham, good to see you here. Agreed that the LinkedIn Learning Access organizational versus personal needs work. Yeah, I agree with you that it should be seamless in my opinion, but it's not currently. So it does need some work. How does licensing work? Raymond is asking, do we need to purchase enterprise licensing for all users? Correct. It would be enterprise licensing that you would need to purchase for Viva Learning for it to show the content sources that you want to show. Once again, the pricing is up in the air currently of what's going to happen. Is learning displayed here learning based on your subscription to each provider like LinkedIn Learning, or are some training content provided for free with Viva Learning? This is the question from Stephanie. Very good question. Yes, once again, so there will be some free content for the app, but the additional one, you do have to have access. You have to have a paid subscription at the organizational level. Let's see. There is still lots of questions, but I won't be able to get to all of them. Mobile we talked about. Caroline, hey Caroline, can you sign in to each learning source with different credentials, or is it authentication done at the Microsoft Teams level? Well, Caroline, I have seen the authentication for LinkedIn Learning to be very specific that you can do at the organizational level, but other stuff I've not seen the authorization and exactly how that's done yet. So that is also up in the air right now as to what that's going to be. The information is still coming out. Keita is saying, great webinar. Thank you for hosting. You're welcome. I appreciate you coming. Yeah, so Mary is saying Caruana for Microsoft. Caruana has talked about integration between teams and learning pathways. Will this still happen? It will happen, but once again, that's going to happen later. It's not available yet. And yeah, I see some of our customers here as well. Thanks so much for joining. Now, hopefully you understand the story between Viva Learning and VisualSP as well. As I was showing before, that you can use Viva Learning to provide all this learning content within Microsoft Teams, but the same content and a whole lot more in terms of information, policies, governance, and everything else can be provided anywhere in any web interface using VisualSP as well. So please keep that in mind and let us know if you have questions about how VisualSP also works with Viva Learning. Yeah, another question about licensing. So Shuhaib, yeah, up in the air. Well, how we're doing with time? Let's see, maybe one more. So Jigger is asking, does Viva Learning show your course or curriculum progress in more detail without LMS integration? Does it show your team members' progress? That's actually something that I did not mention before about analytics. Analytics is currently not that great within Viva Learning, and I'm not sure if that's going to improve. Most of the analytics are going to be provided by other providers like VisualSP. So we have a great analytics engine which shows you what people have clicked on, and it will show the analytics of all that. Same thing if you're an LMS, or if you have an LMS, then it would show the analytics of that within the LMS, but it would not show it within Viva Learning. Viva Learning is more of an aggregation layer to put everything together. All right. Any last thoughts from you, Carrie, before I wrap up here?
No, just wanted to thank everybody so much for joining us today. Like I said, I'll be sharing some written responses to these questions. If you have any more that you did not have a chance to drop into the webinar, please email me. I'm happy to respond directly. If you're really interested in learning more and you would like to set up a one-on-one meeting with Asif and I, we'd be happy to walk through with you some of your personal scenarios as well. So I think that's it from my end.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. You will get the recording for this later, and please reach out to us. Let us know your questions. So keep in touch. Take care.